Gather, veterans. It's time to join the fight. The long war begins.
This is The Long War. I'm Robbie B, and joining me once again are my partners in crime, Kenny Boucher and Stephen Ford. What's up, guys?
Yo, dog, great to be here.
Yo, what's going on, everybody?
So another week is here, and we got news. Games Workshop is knocking it out of the park. You guys been paying attention?
We've been paying attention as much as we normally can.
I thought you were going to say, in local news, GW out of business.
In local news, Games Workshop found a way to trick us into buying squads.
Well, based on the title of the episode, I thought it was going to be something along the lines of GW breaking into the crack industry.
Yo, yeah.
Now online.
Haha, clickbait, got you. Fake news.
In local news, GW investigation.
CIA investigates GW on AIDS and crack related release.
We had a tipped source that will not be named, but their name is The Long War.
Apparently, the confusion came from the misspelling of game AIDS by a local source, and then the misrepresentation of crack.
They said there is 100% chance we find crack on their persons. No crack was found.
But crack was mentioned multiple times on Long War streams, podcasts, and other.
I mean, Juice, you remember the first time you smoked crack?
Never forget it.
Yeah, we were together. What happened?
True story. We were actually driving a vehicle.
That makes it better. You guys keep going. Just keep going. Go ahead.
There's no incriminating evidence that is happening right now.
Nope. Oh, God. I remember first time I smoked crack, I think it was 1999 at a Hobbytown, USA in Miami.
Truth. I'm not even going to lie. I might have stole money from my grandparents to buy my first set of crack, and it was a Screaming Carnifex.
Depending on what type of crack we're talking about, I definitely stole money on my grandpa's wallet to buy some. when I was like 13 or 14. If we're talking about Pogs crack, oh yeah.
Yeah, you gotta get them slammers.
Yo, my side of nuclear bomb slammer that was like literally all brass, weighed like 16 ounces, had a hole through it so you can like aim it directly over like old bombardiers and just literally it was so OP.
Dude, how many boo lips did kids have when you took all?
Oh my God, I used to just go to my school outlawed Pogs because it was gambling, right? I'd roll in there every morning and come home with whatever it was 7 Pogs to start to play with. I'd come home with like 38 Pogs every day.
That's hilarious. Yo, your Pog had a hole in it that you could see through.
It was shaped exactly like an OG, like atomic bomb, all heavy, and it was solid brass, bro. It was literally you can just perfectly aim it on the edge of the pile, release, hit that pile, flip the whole pile over in one hit.
Yo, I had that like polite, like gold brass $50 size one with like a hologram on top.
Oh, yeah. I had one with a yin yang hologram on it too.
Yeah, like, man, y'all can't tell me shit right now. It is going down. And then all of a sudden I would show up to said Paul game and Kenny would show up to it with his nuclear atomic bomb, and go home with my hologrammed brand new buster that I just came with.
Hey, remember how cool they were to collect too, like cards? You had little Pogs like sheets, and it was all about. So I had like the freshest Pogs too. So I'd always, because people knew how good I was with this dumbass OP tech. So I put it down. One of my 7 Pogs were like, I'd flip through my book and pull out like the 7 freshest hologram Pogs, so they can win those, and I'd let them put anything down. Because I was like, I understand what I'm doing is OP. I'll give you a good shot. I'll give you 3 to 1. With these holograms.
Yep. Rochambeau for it.
I'll Rochambeau for you and let you go first.
Yo, could you imagine how much like more prevalent Pogs would have been if the internet was around? Because like you could have bought them, you could have bought Slammer, you could have bought like the most OP of Slammers.
That's what I'm saying. I know I definitely stole $20 on my grandpa's wallet. Because I definitely was like, Ocala, Florida, when I was a young little hooligan being punished on an entire summer living with my grandpa.
Oof.
And like, or maybe in Inverness. God, I can't remember where. But like, it was like shitty ass little town. I had to be out there the whole summer. I remember riding my bike into town and finding like there was a Pog shop and picking up this Slammer. That's where I picked it up.
The holy relic, the unicorn of all slammers.
Of course, he figured out I took $20 from him. Let me keep the slammer, but made me earn that $20 back times 10 in yard work in Florida summer.
Brutal.
It was brutal.
And then the whole time he's drinking a fresh cooler saying, "This hurts me more than it hurts you."
That's exactly. Good luck though with all your pog winnings.
Yeah.
He was thinking about the 2 things he could have done with that $20 bill and the 100 of things you're going to have to do to earn it.
Yep, it was brutal.
Oh my gosh. So such good times.
Kids are the worst is what you can take away from that story.
Yeah, pretty much.
God.
Quickly followed by cats.
Cats second worst.
Second worst.
Human cats first worst.
Ain't nobody wants none of that. Oh man. So lots of cool stuff coming out. Let's do the Tabletop Market Watch, run down the new releases, I guess, at least for this week and next, that we know for realsies is coming out. Now, of course, we won't be around next week. We will be at Adepticon. I don't think we're going to do anything live, but we may record some stuff there for later use, I suppose. But just keep that in mind when you're looking for us next Wednesday. We'll
Definitely
not be here.
take to the social medias, guys. There will be some Facebook Live, I promise, because it's really easy to use. There will be some Instagram and some Twitter updates. Definitely a lot of people asking questions like, what's going to happen where? And the best we can say at this time is watch Facebook.
Yeah, I think that's truer words have never been spoken. That's where I get my news from, the Facebooks.
Facebook is the internet as far as I can tell.
quickly becoming the internet. But we will be on the floor on the Spikey Bits side covering the event and reporting as quickly as we can on things. I'm sure FFG will have some stuff, but Games Workshop's going to be doing their seminar where apparently they are going to be showing off like 9 months worth of stuff. So I'm okay with that. Take us through the holidays.
Are you going to be boots to the ground or are you going to have guys in there?
A little of both,
Sick.
Yeah, we're all paws on deck. As many as we can handle doing things.
And that's Tuesday, so that's why you're going out so early.
Yeah, we're going out early so we can get in there and get our battle plan together for Wednesday night when the seminars are going to hit, and then we'll be ready to go for the next day. Covering, taking pictures of all the great armies and all what's happening, all the great miniatures. Just reporting everything as quick as we can. So you'll have
Adepticon 22nd to the 29th. Is that right? So 22nd, 29th in Schaumburg,
Illinois.
Yeah, just outside of Chicago, or basically fake Chicago proper, or something like.
It's right by O'Hare.
Yeah, it's pretty close. So yeah, I mean, if you guys didn't know, now you know. You definitely, if you live local to it and you just found out about it, you definitely need to do yourself a favor. Get to Adepticon, get a weekend badge. It is the biggest miniature-based convention in the world. Absolutely. You're going to want to see this.
Yep. And also in other news, we have the epic Long War dice bag of holding with 36 neon green Kenny dice included in it. It's up for sale right now. We're going to have them up for the next 2 weeks, I think, on Spikey Bits. It's very easy to find. Just click on the Long War dice bag is return image, and that'll take you directly to the link.
Hey, and this is despite our better, like, we're doing everything we could to avoid another like production, another but you guys kept saying we need that dice bag, and it's been I think we just celebrated our year anniversary since the Kickstarter. Man, we're probably like a year and 4 months now.
It's about a year and 4 months. Yep.
And so I know because I got the email from Kickstarter year anniversary, but as true form, like we said on the Kickstarter, these will never be repeated again. So the new stuff is the new stuff. It's not the ivory dice. It's not the black dice. It's not the black bag with the purple interior. It's the new fresh charcoal gray bag with the red interior and the new hot neon vortex dice. It is exclusive. This is it. These availabilities only while they last, but we are doing 36 dice, and I think we'll have 5 at the event available and signed by the entire staff, the entire crew, full of 36 dice. First come, first serve. You're going to have to go through juice.
Yo, true story. Best dice bag. I have had personal messages from at least 10 individuals who got the last set. I have had with nothing but praises about what a phenomenal bag and sack it is, what it can actually hold. Right hand to God, Robbie B, you are the cameraman, the executive aficionado in the Beats Lab when we're recording. Robbie B is on it like, yo, keep that table clear. Grab that. Grab this. I'm like mid getting ready to roll, and Robbie B's like, yo, you got a beer can on the table, dog. I'm like, oh, my fault. I will literally stick my beer can in the dice bag, in the Longboard dice bag.
So the dice bag doubles as a hobo 40 cover?
As a hobo 40, and I'm not saying like the little puny 12-ounce can. Like I drink a minimum of 16-ounce beers to 24-ounce beers. Now the 24-inch can won't fit; it's just a little too tall. But like my 16-ounce big boy cans, all day, every day will just be sitting straight in. I just kind of move it left to right to get all the little rando dice that are still in there, shoving them aside, and it fits no problem. Literally, Robbie B is able to get every one of his camera shots that he wants with my beer mid-board, never to be known by anybody until I just said it. It's official.
You guys didn't even know. He's done that like 5 battle reports in a row.
I'm consistent. That's all I can say.
Where so I mean, obviously you're gonna be hearing more about the dice bag in the future. But it's here, and that's exciting news. But Rob, I think there's like way more exciting shit happening. Busted ass dice bag.
So the Talons of the Emperor box set is the new release for next week. That is they're trying to tie it into the Gathering Storm. It might have a mini storybook in it. It definitely has a Adeptus Custodes Codex in it. And we know that for a fact because Black Library messed up and went live with it. You could download a preview of it, which we got, but it didn't have anything super juicy in it, unfortunately. But yeah, it's looking fresh. It is a good deal. It's $160. If you add up the retail value of it, you're looking at $271 MSRP. So right at MSRP, you're talking 32% discount. And that's assuming, of course, which we're going to talk about later, that you don't automatically get a discount at your local retailer there. So I think a lot of people are going to be picking up Custodes, and depending on what the rules are. Oh, and here's the breakdown of what comes in it. So it's the Codex, Sisters of Silence, which were out of the Prospero box, the Custodes Squad, which were out of the Prospero box, the Contemptor Dreadnought, which was out of the Calf box, a Land Raider, a Godhammer pattern, and a Rhino APC tank. So existing.
So this is all Custodes? Right, is what you're saying?
It's painted gold, but
does it come with iconography, like upgrade sprues? What's up?
There may be a decal sheet. It's very hard to see from the pictures, and I'm sure when we see the pre-orders come out this week on Saturday, that we'll know a little bit more about it. But right now, it's kind of hard to see the pictures. But obviously more to come right there. Now there are some people online being all super conspiracy theory and about if they're going to change the size of the Space Marines, they're going to get. They're going to change the Rhino, they're going to change the Land Raider, and then all of a sudden we see a box come out with a bunch of Rhinos and Land Raiders in it. So,
well, before you tell me your opinion, that comes with the territory, homies. Back in the day, we had that tiny ass little Rhino, that tiny ass little Land Raider.
Yep.
Then we got new kits, and then we got new Rhinos, and they were way better than the old ones. Don't forget that. At first, we were all dragged our feet, and then when I saw them, I was like, "This is better." We all bought them, and that was during 3rd edition when Rhinos were really popular. So, I would not be even remotely surprised if we get a new Rhino and we get a new Land Raider.
Well, go ahead.
I'm sorry. Yeah, the only thing I was going to say is let's not even just kind of poo the Land Raider, or excuse me, the Rhino, because it was so small, and it's so funny as I still know some old heads at my local shops that will bust out their old school Rhinos, and I'm like, oh, that's so cute. But like, there's been so many models that have come so far, like the Hive Tyrant Carnifex, the Land Raider. Bro, like literally a third of the size it is now is what the old school Land Raider was. Like the dozer tracks that look like, it looked like it was just a ball, and the tracks stayed the same, but the rest of the body just kind of turned,
Let's be honest. Those kits are archaic now. They barely fit together right. The molds are so old. There's always a ridiculous seam on your Rhinos that you have to fucking be aware of and cover up with bullshit.
It is impossible to put the Rhino tracks together on top of the two Rhino sides and then think that you're going to somehow put that floor bottom piece together and not think that you're going to have to use super glue zip kicker as a like welding combo to fill in the gaps.
Yeah, it's also old. Like anything that's old, the molds are old.
How old do you think this when do you think the Rhino kit came out? Just if you had to think about it. How old?
The new one versus the third edition?
The one we use right now, I'd say is 1998, 1997.
I would say that it came out in
I would say copyrighted 1997, 1998, but I'd say I think for general purchasing 2000.
Yeah, I'm gonna say 01.
Okay, Juice is right. It was copyrighted 01. It came out in the summer of 02.
Okay.
The Land Raider came out in 2000. Land Raider's before it.
So that old Land Raider was so sad.
Yeah, it was super sad. It was super sad. So, I mean, they are due for an upgrade. I mean, think about what they could do with computers these days. And we've seen the upgrade parts they did for the Excelsior Land Raider command kit. And
yeah, and it would be baller looking, more detail and less parts to make that detail.
Robbie B, what in the balls has GW kept the same for 15, 16 years? I mean,
vehicle wise, not a lot. I mean, they obviously were just seeing some of the characters change over after 20 years, but
it's Eldar. My biggest complaint with playing an Eldar army is how old all the models were for so long.
Yeah. I mean, Warp Spiders.
Jet bikes for a long time were the same old busted jet bikes. Fucking wave serpents all busted and old. I mean, fuck.
But I mean, that's just a conspiracy theorist. It could be true. It could not be true. There was all these rumors about Mark 10 stuff, and I heard it from some GW people too. So like, they're making the rounds, and GW didn't immediately come out and say, "Hey, that's true," or "It's not true." So maybe it's part of the Adepticon presentation next week. Hard to say, but if it is, if we do see new Marines, I'd be very surprised if we didn't see new vehicles too. But that's all 100% speculation.
Especially if Custodes are possibly using older tech.
Yeah, that's kind of weird. Like, did all the grab stuff like break?
Well, if they're gonna get all this older tech, think about the Rhino we use now is the old shit.
Yeah,
and it's so I don't know, man. It's hard to tell though. But I mean, with Custodes getting all this stuff, I would say probably not going to change anything anytime soon with the Rhinos.
No, I mean, just at face value, it is what it is. It's just another great deal from Games Workshop. It says it's a core set, so maybe it'll be around for a while. I mean, Forge World still has a ton of Custodes units to roll out, I think, as far as that goes. And then hopefully we can get to talk about one of the cooler, newer Custodes units, at least in my opinion, that just came out. Also this week or next week will be Sisters of Silence box individually for $40, the Custodes themselves individually for $60, and a slew of hardcover.
Oh wow! So we that's what we thought the Sisters would be, but isn't that a little bit more than what I thought the Custodes would be?
I think it was close.
I think we said like 40 and 50, and then now we're saying 40 and 60.
Yeah, we're definitely close.
Tight.
Yo, that's so awesome that the Custodes is going to be an official army now.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited about it. Definitely. I think, well, we don't know 100% yet, but it does have a codex in there. So it could just be, an ally. I don't know.
Is it marketed as a codex or just literature?
It says codex on it. Like you can see
so,
it.
Yeah.
You're saying that we could see something like Scutari, Gene Stealer Colt to, something of that realm of, it's just going to be something small. And then all of a sudden it's got its own large codex instead of just something small. I have to admit, I do not like it when they do stuff like, we have a new book coming out, it's Inquisition, and then it's literally just like Codiaz and his henchmen.
Yeah,
like I didn't like it when they did that, right? So like I give mad respect now when they do stuff like, we have they did it a little bit with the Scion book. Like that is the bare minimum of what it takes to be called a codex.
Yeah, well, especially with the detachments, how armies are constructed detachments now. So they took away like the fact that your force org was in your codex, and that like detachments, any number of detachments makes an army. Now they just have to put out books with these units and what their battlefield role is, and you can use pretty much any detachment to make them. And these books oftentimes have a few other additional formations / detachments they have in there that are also available. So I mean, I think it's definitely exactly what Rob predicted all those months and months and months ago for GW going infinite.
Yeah, no, I'm okay with it. More releases, more better, in my opinion. But remember, there is existing formations for these guys. Because remember when they came out in Prospero and people were like, "We want to play on 40K," and they were like, "What?"
And we said, and people were like, "Oh, they listened to us and made us a detachment for it." I was like, "No, they didn't listen to you make a detachment. They already had this for the book that's coming out that they already have in the works."
Yeah, so maybe
guaranteed the one where it says you can play 1 to 3 units of it in your game of 40K. And they get this 5 of them audible or whatever. That's one of the formations available to you in this book. Promise you.
Oh yeah, it'll definitely be in there. And then this week, the new releases are a little light, but that's okay. Everybody has an off week. We got the Tartaros Terminators available separately, of course, out of Prospero box for $60, and the Mark III Iron Armor, some of the best sculpted Space Marines, in my opinion, definitely the best Heresy era stuff so far. Sans Custodies and things for $50. So they're spreading it out. So pretty much the whole Prospero box will be released minus the characters by next week. So that's kind of cool.
And all those prices are pretty much what we have seen with all the other 30K to plastic from Betrayal.
Yeah, I feel like everything's right on point. Like I'm not surprised by anything, and I think that's a good thing, to be quite honest.
It definitely doesn't suck.
No, not at all. So we also saw the Shadow War Armageddon. I didn't want to spend too much time on this because I want to talk about the rules for a new Custodes unit in 30K. But the Shadow War Armageddon is basically Necromunda, for lack of a direct comparison. It does say the veteran in their quote. They said veteran gamers out there will be keen to learn that much of the rule set is based off the classic Necromunda game. So it's kind of a rebrand of sorts. It comes with some fantastic modular plastic terrains, looking great. But it almost seems like they're kind of upgrading. They're kind of morphing Kill Team and Necromunda together into this, because they gave you a list of some of the units that you'll be able to use for this game, and it includes Skitaria Rangers, Chaos Space Marines, Cultists, Witches, Dire Avengers, Guardians, Harlequin Troop, Grey Knight Strike, Necron Immortals, Necron Warriors, Tau Pathfinders, Tyranid Warriors, Neophyte Hybrids, Scouts with sniper rifles, Cadian Infantry, and Orc Boys. So
I like that. That's a good spread right there.
Mm-hmm. So it's just like, oh, hey, if you play any of these things, which most people do, I feel like that hit on something right there, then you're going to want to check out this game. And that's kind of where they left it. Very, very ambiguous, but
way to go. I mean, again, I don't want to hype up something with just some hypothetical situations, but way to hype a game that covers a lot of bases instead of like, hey, you guys like Dark Eldar and Demons, you like the Mask, you like Night Titans, we'll give you Night Titan games. You like Scout and Gene Stealers, like way to cover a lot of bases. So I'm excited to see how this turns out.
I think it definitely appeals to a lot of our audiences, sure. Now, price point's always the question, like, hey, how much will this be, type deal. I could see it. It comes with a squad of Scouts and it comes with a squad of Orc Boys. But I think the appeal here is going to be the terrain, which we just saw that Death World terrain come out for like, what, 150, 160. So it's kind of like one of those things, like it's kind of a crapshoot. Like what would you guys pay for this dope looking terrain? It's basically a quarter table's worth of terrain and 2 of these squads. Like what would you guys personally pay? What would you feel like would be an acceptable amount to price this at, price point wise?
Can't go above $80.
Oh, $80. Okay. I was thinking right around 100. Maybe. I mean, the Orc Boys.
I mean, yeah, that price range, $80 to $100 seems right.
I feel like the Maybe I'm not up. I think the scouts are 20, 29. Well, let's see. We've seen the 2 squad box for Kill Team with no terrain go for 60, but it did come with a 40K rulebook. So I can see 100 being, well, I don't know. We'll see.
I mean, but GW's giving us good deals. So, I mean, $80. Fuck, we'll see it. You heard it here first, $80.
They're always bundling stuff. So that is rumored to be coming out towards the end of April. So in April, too, they're going to have the dwarfs, which we're going to talk about after the break. But this is going to be the big kind of end of month thing as they slide into May, which is looking to be a very cool thing. Now on the 30K side, the Prospero book, we just got in the Legio Custodes Contemptor Achilles Dreadnought, which is the dude with the Guardian Spear that looks just like super fresh. And what's
so
really
we
cool,
have so Dreadnought, Guardian Spear.
Yeah, Contemptor Dreadnought. So it's like, it's actually faster.
Is that the AP3 spear?
Yeah, it can turn into D. It's strength 10 AP2. And if it charges and he hits in assault, become hits of 6, make it a destroyer.
Sick. What a cool little dreadnought. How much is it? What's its arm? I mean, what's its toughness?
So its stat line is weapon skill 6, ballistic skill 5, strength 8, 13, 13, 11, initiative 5, 4 attacks. So, but it comes stock armed with 2 close combat weapons, and then you can buy the Dread Spear, so you actually don't get rid of the Dreadnought close combat weapons. It's like literally the Dreadnought close combat weapons are holding the spear. And I didn't realize that at first. I was like, wait, what? That's cool. So it's a pretty neat little Dreadnought for 200 points. 3 whole points.
Absolutely. To be honest, it's what a lot of Dreadnoughts, if you're not going to go toughness value, it's what they want to be.
Yeah, only real weakness is obviously Grav, but it's not bad. I mean, I'm all about Armor 13 Dreadnoughts.
Well, Grav's different in 30K.
Oh, it doesn't just auto immobilize you?
No.
Oh, well, this is a fucking solid unit for 30K.
Now, its special rules are fleet, move through cover, and counterattack of all things.
Yeah, it's like a Furiosa Dreadnought, except one thing, it's armor 11 on the back.
Yeah, so it's got the little bit of a bump, which is nice.
Nobody's rolling behind you with crack the pocket crack grenade easy pen trick, Not
anymore, no. It does have smoke launchers. It does come with a refractor field, so it doesn't have that atomic reactor. It just has a straight refractor field, extra armor, searchlight. Now, the unit itself has the 2 close combat weapons with inbuilt Lastrum Stormbolters. You're probably like, what's a Lastrum Stormbolter? Well, Lastrum Stormbolter is just your basic weapon that is a little bit of a bump. It's 24-inch range, strength 5, AP4, but it does have the heliothermic detonation, which makes it so that if you wound somebody and they fail it, they have to take a toughness test, so they're ID'd out. So,
oh yeah, Frost.
Yeah, it's basically Frost.
Gangster Frost. I'm with that. Black Mace effect.
Now remember, there's 2 of these, so you got 4 shots with this thing, and it's ballistic skill 5, so it's no slouch shooting. So you just like straight up sitting like gunslinging.
Yep, that's awesome.
For 40 points more, you can give him the Dread Spear. So that's that melee weapon, strength 10, AP2, impaling, mastercraft, and we talked about impaling. You roll a 60 hit, boom, D weapon, D hit.
D attacks. If I'm not mistaken, we just had a dude just come out with that same kind of special rule.
Yep.
Showing up.
Yo, this Dreadnought would be amazing if the new Magnus in 30K didn't exist.
Yeah, that dude is legit.
Oh my god, I have a billion D aura attacks.
Yeah, he just like death blossoms.
Yep, literally. DB's never been tested. It's like, I do this all the time.
Yeah, hold my bear.
God, Magnus.
No. And then the Dread Spear has a built-in Corvée Las Pulsar, which I actually lost the page where it was, but I remember it was strength 8. Oh, here it is. It's 36-inch, strength 9, AP2, heavy D3. So it can also shoot that.
Super las cannon. I love it.
Yep, super las cannon. Pretty neat. Now, there's upgrade options, and this is where it gets really hilarious to me. So you can either take the spear You still get all those. You still have the great weapons and everything, and the last pulsar built in the spear. Or you could just not take the spear, and you could upgrade the 2 storm bolters and bolts of the fist to twin link Anthractic Destructors, which are 15 points each. It might be a little pricey, but hear me out. This is what they do. And I kind of dig them because I got all these like crazy John Woo poses in my mind now that you can do with this dreadnought, like straight up Iron Man, like shooting poses. So the Destructor is a 12-inch range, strength 5, AP 2 weapon. It's assault 1, but it's instant death armor bane, but it gets hot. But it is twin linked, but it gets hot.
That's gangster. It hits on 2. It's BS5, so I mean, I'm all in on that.
It's on 2 is twin linked, and it also has a refractor field, which I'm not sure that you can take on a gets hot roll. But
I'm with it. But check it out. So 30K grab is templates with Haywire. Is this right?
Yes.
So okay, he's gonna get haywired out the fucking ass, but I would do anything to have haywire templates be what grab guns are in 40K. Like, is even though that wrecks armor hard, like I don't care. Like I'm all in on like, yo, you're gonna dedicate the appropriate amount of firepower to this unit to kill it. But what I hate is how grab guns right now can just get the pocket 6 and then continue shooting other things.
Yeah, you're like, oh, you're immobilized. You're a dreadnought. Cool. I'm
Like,
just gonna go this way.
Infuriating to me that it's just like, oh, there's a 6. Now I'm just gonna shoot something else.
The angriest dreadnought
Like,
in the history of
oh my god, it's infuriating.
So 200 points to plus 40 for the spear. If you want to upgrade both the Destructors, the storm bolters to the Destructors, is an extra 30 points. He can upgrade, not take any of that, and upgrade the storm bolters to a flamer variant that is, it's a heavy flamer plus 1 strength. So whatever, strength 6, same stats for the rest of it for 5 points each, which isn't bad either, to be quite honest. 5 points, 2 shots with it. But
yeah, you got it.
I like the John Woo.
This is a bad motherfucker. I'm with it.
Yeah, I don't think he's too bad. And he's just so cool looking. Like these new Contemptor Dreadnoughts are just very dynamic. Like they have all the iconography with the
iconography.
Yes, that. And you know, the crusade, the unification crusade symbols, like everything, the Palatine eagles, like it's just very well sculpted and very well done. Just a shining example of what they're able to do, you know, with all this 3D design on the computer and everything. So I'm a fan. That's a new release right now on Forge World. You can get that. You can get the bundle with the other Contemptor Dreadnought that comes with the Guardian Spear variant, or excuse me, the blade and the Storm Shield as well. I think there's like a bundle deal up on there right now. So that's what's popping off from Forge World. Now we also check the calendar because April is coming up next month. Now here's what else is going on. Inferno, that book I was reading from, will be back in stock at Games Workshop. They sold out. They reordered a bunch. They said they're supposed to be back in April. And also Dawn of War 3, the new video game that a lot of people are really hyped for, will also be out. And they have all sorts of versions that you can pick up right now over on their site. On Steam, they range from $60 up to, I think it's $129 if you want like the little Godhammer replica Thunderhammer thing, you know, to put on your shelf that's like 14 inches tall. It's pretty dope. Like, I'm not sure which one I want to get. I don't even know if I'll have time to play the game, but I feel like I should still buy it.
Bang down a quick commercial break and talk about the things that keeps Juice from sleeping.
And on the next Long War, the things that keep Juice from falling asleep while we're recording. Now, we'll be right back, everybody.
Dear veterans, quickly, make your way to thelongwar.net and find out how to reap your hard-earned spoils of this long war. For our allies at secretweaponsminiatures.com have rewarded us all with an extra 10% discount on all Secret Weapon Miniatures merchandise. So stock up, dear veterans, and enjoy.
elricshobbies.com is your exclusive portal to upgrading your hobby. When you sign up at thelongwar.net, you gain an instant promotional discount good for 10% off at Elric's Hobbies. elricshobbies.com.
dear veterans, quickly make your way to the longwar.net and find out how to reap your hard-earned spoils of this long war. For our allies at dicehead.com have rewarded us all with an extra 6% discount on all dicehead.com merchandise. So stock up, dear veterans, and enjoy.
And we're back. So we got some big news. But there's more. But wait, there's more big news from Games Workshop. I don't know if you guys saw, but they got some new Age of Sigmar stuff out.
Juice. We're gonna start off with Juice. Juice, would you play Sky Pirates?
Yeah, first off, I would play Space Pirates. I would play Sky Pirates. I am pumped for the new dwarf models. I actually had to go look up the entire line that is potentially coming out during the webcast, and they look phenomenal.
There's some really good pictures up. We linked to them. We covered a lot of it over on Spikey Bits. So they previewed some actual like close-up pictures, but a lot of the units that they showed the presentation or product images of, they had different unit options in the video even. So it's like, oh, there's going to be multiple variants. You know how they do, like whether it's 2 units in one box or whether it's the, different weapon options in the box.
Do you guys have a picture pulled up on your screen?
I have the product shots pulled up where we've got dudes with Gatling guns. It looks like boarding pirates almost, harpoons, Gatling guns.
There's a lot of pictures in the Discord right now.
So one of the best ways that I've seen that implemented was our man Dean with his Warcon army, the Infiltrator Ruststalker combo. Robbie B, you remember that?
Yeah, they looked like piles of just scrap, and you see little heads sticking out.
Heads and taser goads and everything else from where he made the Ruststalkers with the bodies and arms and everything. And literally you have leftover heads, arms, and weapons for the infiltrators. Well, obviously they're supposed to be infiltrating, so you're not really going to see them. So he made them out. So I love it when GW comes out with the twofer kits and really give us and give some of the modelers out there something to play with.
Yeah, I think these things are great. I mean, I'm already hearing people talking about converting them up. Now, I was looking, like, I love the little dudes with the little balloon backpack, the jump assault trooper guys. What do you think of those?
You know what it reminds me of? 3rd edition, late 2nd edition orcs with the rockets. Oh,
the ginormous ones?
The ginormous custom rocket or whatever that was. Like literally when I saw that, that's exactly what it was. Yeah, I was like, oh.
The Storm Boys with Boss Zadstruck back in the day.
Yeah, and they had the it was like the weird rocket or custom rocket or something where, it shot off one use only, and it was, some ridiculous range and motion and everything else. Then in later edition and 4th edition and Speed Freaks, you would randomly see people throw those big rockets on the back of like Zagstrucker, like you said.
Yeah, they had a rule where it was like once per game they can use the full, like to turn the rocket on basically, and it was like they can move 24 inches that turn instead of 12, but like you lost a bunch of them. Like they didn't make it.
Yeah, it was like, oh, risk versus reward. There never seems to be a reward with this one, but okay. Yeah, these guys look dope. I love the styling of a majority of it. It looks like they got new flight stands or new jump pack stands, and then there's the Baron Harkon super floaty jump pack.
Vladimir Harkonnen just cruising around doing his stuck business.
Evan Valdek had the best meme for that. I mean, he's got like little robot arms, little chain sword, and like little impellers that.
It's crazy. Now, I've seen a lot of games. Like, I obviously recently just played my first AOS game with my people in my Beats Lab out here. And, it was cool. And it was exactly like as cool as I thought it was because I edited all the battle reports. But I watch a lot of you guys' battle reports. And what I noticed is, like, obviously we're all beginners at AOS, like here in Long War. We're not. That's kind of like why Juice isn't playing AOS at the con because he's like, I'm not ready for that. Yeah, I'm not ready to. I'm not ready. I thought my shit was tight. And then this happens and this happens. So, what I'm seeing here is that like good like quality shooting is really dangerous in AOS.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's a problem. And like the thing about shooting AOS is it's not like I've got 65 strength 6 shots. It's like way less than that, but the quality seems to be deadly. Very deadly. I've seen like, yo, I'm gonna shoot this and D6 mortal wounds, shit like that, you know? And these guys seem to be an entire army full of guys with guns, with gats. What do you think? How do you think that's gonna like? What do you think that's gonna mean for the meta? Like,
Yo, I think it's gonna be dangerous because of the amount of armor that these dudes is wearing. Like these guys are walking around like the Stormcast Eternal type stuff. You know, it's different when a rat has got a Gatling gun and you're just like, nah, okay, I can just kind of look at him and see that he's going to get scared and fail a fear check or something of the sort, or just die to D3 mortal wounds, where all my range weapons, literally all it takes is a D3 mortal wounds, and you can almost pick up my entire artillery's batteries, you know, stuff like that. Where Stormcast Eternal, they're just like, literally, I will shrug off a D3 mortal wounds like it's nothing. So I can only imagine that the squat dwarf version.
To cut you off, to interject. So do you think that the armor is going to be a representation of wounds or save or both?
I think both. I think anybody in Age of Sigmar, I think it's pretty obvious now that how they're going to do things is anybody that is in some solid looking armor is not only are they multiple to, but I would say on average 3 wounds each, they're going to have a quality armor save, which a 4-up save is very quality in Age of Sigmar.
If they had a lot of wounds and a 4-up save, like, and all those guns, that's gangster.
Hey, Robbie B, go with me on this one. Are you going to tell me that these guys are going to be like real dwarves and have just like a 6-up ward save?
No, they're gonna have some. They're probably gonna be 4-up with like I could see the little boarding dudes being like a 2-up. You know, some of the heavy hitter dudes.
I'm sorry, where they have in addition to. They basically have that old school, like how was
like the undead have that ability where like it's their trait where it's like everyone gets this no ward saves or ward save 6 basically on any to negate mortal wounds.
The actual wound, yeah, you know what I mean. Like no matter,
and it doesn't count as a save. It's not even a save.
Yeah, it's basically a 6-up feel no pain. You know, they don't use feel no pain. I think it's ward or something of this, whatever. But like literally on top of their save, they have a army wide 6-up, army wide something like. I mean, I believe that these guys could come out hot, especially with Stormcast Eternal. Doing so well because of the new kits, the new armor, and where Age of Sigmar is.
People like it now, Juice. So I look at it like this. So it's an arm. The game is about buffing, right? Like buffs and buffs and buffs.
Sure, absolutely.
Right? So here's what I'm looking at. And obviously, I don't know as much, but so I look at these guys. They have swords and guns in a lot of cases. They're like Space Marines now, which means they're going to be dual role. Which means they're not going to be. If you want to be balanced, it means they're going to be sort of good at both, right? So what I'm thinking is the armor is a representation of the toughness and how many wounds they have, and like you said, the armor save. I'm starting to think that their buffs, their hero phase is going to be about manipulating their guns because they look to be a highly mobile army. So I'm thinking their guns for the most part are going to be very short range compared to a lot of the other guns. So I'm thinking it's going to be moving, shooting, and an aggressive hero phase of doubling down on that.
Yeah, so I like that concept. What you're saying is where pretty much everything that they do, their command phase and hero phases, and even psychic, you know, if they're able to tap into that at all, is to manipulate movement and shooting. I like that. But I can also see conversely that they are so tough and durable. Maybe their offense in close combat isn't there, but they're so durable.
But Space Marines don't really have that offense. That's what I'm saying is I think they're sort of average at their baseline stats. I think their guns and their swords are going to be average. I think them as a model is going to be tough as shit.
Tough as shit, absolutely.
And I think because you see so many units with mobility, like skyships and dudes with these Vladimir O'Conan balloons, I think that you're going to see a lot of the base units are going to be very mobile, very short range, average offense stats, but with hero phase like buffs to increase that. And some of the other units that look to be planted with a variety of weapons in the units are going to be your long range guys with less armor, but long range deadliness.
I'm not sure we're going to see a long range kind of thing. I would suspect that I played a lot of dwarves in fantasy. That was actually the majority of my fantasy career was dwarves. So I expect these guys to be extremely short movemented, like below average on the movement. Like we're talking 4 or 5 maybe inches. I could see
even with their air stuff.
Well, I think that's going to be the key, and that's how the GW's going to force you to buy those airships. Is they'll do something like you can come in with if you put them on the airship, you can come in 9 inches away from other stuff, and you can teleport it in, and then you've got this like rune priest looking guy that looks like he's examining some sort of artifact that maybe he can activate this artifact to give army-wide buffs and things like that. Like there used to be runes and things you could buy for your dwarfs to protect them, to give them better shooting, et cetera, et cetera. And then it was even different for the war machines. So I could see that maybe being the case, like where you get some army-wide buff kind of things, and you have to use these guys, and you have to put them in the ships, and there's some gunship type things.
Do you think that these ships are going to be transports?
I do. I think because if you look at it, it looks to be 3 different type ships, and 2 of them look to be on Titan size bases, or Dreadnought size bases, or these are really, really small. These could actually be cavalry bases for the one with just the single driver.
To be honest, that's what I feel like. I feel like it's cavalry size bases, Rob. I'm right there with that. And I was just getting
way smaller.
I was just getting ready to pose the question to you guys. It's like, what's their big thing?
That huge ass pirate ship. They have a floating pirate ship. I think it's a gunship, bro. I think
I think that's definitely a gunship. When you got
since they're a gun army, I think it's going to be their equivalent of like the super boss on a mount.
Mm-hmm. And this could be just like the Seraphons, where even stuff from this would emanate out from, like, it almost looks like it has a thing hooked up on the front of it where it could like the other ones just look like it's for power. But this one looks like
the guys on the ship are how it fights in close combat. It's a mount, is what I'm looking at. Is what I'm thinking.
Oh yeah, I can see that.
It moves around. It has really aggressive this, really aggressive that, and it can fly like the orc dude on the big ass dragon. I'm thinking instead of like a guy on a dragon, it's a bunch of dudes on a pirate ship.
It's literally an elephant for Lord of the Rings.
Exactly. That's how I'm seeing it.
Just the flying version. Robbie B, do we have any idea, or have they come out yet with what line they're gonna, what faction or what order? Is it Order or Chaos or Alliance?
It's Order as far as I know.
Okay.
Because it's saying that they were hiding from Chaos. The new Durden faction force is unlike any of you seen before. These are not the descendants of Grungini, who hid in the mountain holds or fled to the Azir, and neither are they the firebrand berserkers of the lodges that worship the fractured god Grimnir.
And they're using so much Nordic, terminology in their game system now. GW, that's how they do. They pull from all the nerd shit that we love, so that we love it even more. Like, I'm pretty sure the Azir in Norse mythology is the warrior class of gods.
Azir is the magical realm where, them are.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of great terminology being thrown around. A lot of things that when David told me that shit, I was like, oh, I'm into this. When I start AOS, it's gonna be these mofos.
I think this is going to get a lot of folks. I think this whole design and this whole kind of like rollout is going to get a lot of folks into, or add like legitimacy to Age of Sigmar. If there isn't legitimacy to be gained or to be garnered to the game, I think this will do it.
Everything's been a version of something we expect. Conventions have been held. Now, I always say in business, you can't come out the gate breaking conventions, because then you won't get any sales. And so that's kind of where GW fucked up. They came in, they broke all gaming conventions with the AOS pre-General's Handbook. They broke a lot of like holy Bible like things that tabletop gamers need in their games. So they came in with too much innovation and broke conventions. It was too hard in the paint. They reeled it back in, General's Handbook. They stayed with the convention. Now look how popular it is. Now it's time to give us something new. Now it's time to actually start breaking convention and giving us a whole new thing, something totally new we've never seen before within this game, in this universe. Bringing all new sorts of elements in. GW knows what they're doing right now.
Oh, yeah. Now, speaking of breaking conventions, Games Workshop also announced to all of its trade partners in the North American business space that they will now be allowed to sell Games Workshop products in a web cart format or online in auction sales, but only as fixed price starting on May 3rd.
I like how you snuck that in so conversationally. It's possibly one of the biggest announcements of the year.
Might be the single most biggest. That's almost like as big as saying, sneaking it in like, oh yeah, you guys had a great day. That's awesome. GW is also just letting everyone know that they're not going to be suing everybody for utilizing their names as long as you use the name of their product only 3 times every 50 words. You know,
you can do whatever you want, except, I mean, it's so crazy, guys. Like, just a quick put in perspective. If anybody out there who's new to the hobby, doesn't understand, we have been at war with GW as business persons for years, man. Like trying to, sell their product, trying to sell GW merchandise,
drag them into the 2000s.
Yeah, I mean, literally, if you're saying like, I'm a businessman and I'm gonna come in and I'm gonna offer this discount on these products, they actually came in and said you can't do that. They literally, and that's the history. They said you can't do that. Then they found out, history lesson. They found out you can't do that in America. You can't come in and say, oh, whoa. I know that like you're a retailer and we're the manufacturer and I know you bought this from us. But you can't sell it at 20% off. Like you can't do that. Actually, we can. We bought it from you. That's like literally, that's how it works. We can do whatever we want. We can sell however we want. We can open it. We can do this. And they learned a lesson that they had no right to say that. Then they got their paralegals involved. They did a little bit of research and they found out what they could do. And what they could do was they can hit us where it hurt. They can say, we can refuse the right to sell to you. So they did refuse the right to sell to people. This happened to people here on this fucking podcast. They didn't, they said, we're not going to sell to you. So then we go to distributors, we lose a little bit of percentage, and now we're not making as much money. And then what they did was they went to those distributors and said, if we think you're selling to those people on this list, we're not going to sell to you either. And so they wielded the full might, and this is all current new GW model. This is the old world order. This is pre-publicly traded company where all these like conventions came in. And now what they're saying is, okay, guys, we'll let you sell at a discount. We're not going to police it like we used to in the way that like you couldn't have an online store with an add to cart feature. People had to call you, look at a spreadsheet to get their 20% off. We're saying, literally, you can order shit online. You can advertise a predetermined, pre-negotiated discount, which is only 15%, and you have to have a brick and mortar.
So minimum advertised pricing or MAP pricing is pretty much an industry standard as far as sales goes. It's anywhere you find it. And it's basically the American business sphere's way of getting around being able to say what, or not being able to say what people can sell stuff for. So minimum advertised price means, hey, you cannot put out a circular with a price in it that says you're selling it for more than 15% off. You can't put a sign up in your store and say that. You can't put a banner ad up and say something like that. You can, however, and not a lot of people have caught on to this from, all the conversations I'm reading on the interwebs, put something on your site, and when it goes to the shopping cart, there is an additional discount at that point. And also, you can even do free shipping at that point. So I don't know if Games Workshop realized that what a lot of big box retailers do, like people like Newegg, already do that to get around some of the attempted barriers to entry that some of the computer parts manufacturers are putting on things. But it's pretty well established out there, and it gets around a lot of their terminology and their thing here. But real quick, just to run it down, the only stores can do this that are approved by Games Workshop. They have to have a brick and mortar store, so you're not allowed to just randomly call up a distributor.
So you have to have a brick and mortar store and a GW account.
You cannot take images or text from their website. No cutting and pasting images or the descriptions. You have to write it all out. The same. There's a couple other things that don't super matter, and the big one is that if you have any questions about this policy, retailers are required to email a special GW email address to address their concerns. They're not allowed to talk about it with their sales reps. That's how sensitive of a matter it is, because it's a legal thing here in the States for sure. But so that being said, how do you guys, remember this all goes into effect May 3rd, 2017. So if we see this new Dwarven army come out at some point in April, I would imagine it's going to be one of the very first things that gets scooped up in this new online cards. But how do you guys see this trickling down to game stores? Because we're all super veterans of the game store scene. What do you guys see happening in game stores?
I mean, I'd like to say, maybe started out by saying, I have mixed feelings. I think that it can go sideways very quickly because it can promote people to stay at home and order online or do whatever they need to from their shopping carts and feel justified by getting their 15%. Number two, if GW, I feel like most stores are having to anyway, to compete with online business, they're having to sell their stuff at a discount or people will not buy at their friendly local game store.
And just to interject, I'm not going to cut you off, but just interject. So because of what you just said, they have to in order to compete. Many refuse to, thus they go out of business.
Absolutely go out of business. So I would have liked to seen GW say, okay, you want to know what? We are truly going to meet halfway instead of this is a patchwork. Okay, everyone is doing it anyway. So you want to know what? We're going to give everyone our permission to do it. So now we don't have to worry about, you guys need to go after this person. You guys need to go after that person. You sent me a cease and desist order for something. Well, what about this? They're breaking 3 laws that you say that people can't do, but they're doing it anyway. So I feel like this could almost be sent out there as just to cover their own ass, to take the heat off some of the stuff that maybe some other people that are actually being sued by GW. But at the end of the day, does it affect the friendly local game store? I don't really care about anything else. I know personal friends of mine that own stores. And I don't know if it positively helps the friendly local game store. Because is GW, Robbie B, did we miss a fine print? Is GW giving any extra percentage back to the friendly local game store out of that 15%? So wait a second. They're still only allowing the friendly local game store to make their 47%, 46%. And then on top of that, they're saying, hey, don't worry about it. You can sell it to your patrons for 15% off. So really your 47% looks more like 32%.
Right. And that's why brick and mortars have always, because they have higher margins than online stores, right? So that's why most of the online stores, they deal with these heavy discounts because they don't have the margins, right? They don't have the overhead. They don't have the expense, right? So they're able to manage their expense better. So that's why game stores have been super resistant to it who don't have an online store, because how can you pay rent? Well, I've gone back and forth on it, just like you. And my initial thoughts was it's bullshit because there's a lot of stores out there that pay bills that this is going to hurt. But if you dismiss that and you understand that community as a whole, what you're saying is you're saying, guys, 15% is not that big of a deal. First off, this actually helps other online stores who come into compliance, because these guys right now are doing 20-25% off because they have to compete. If you just said everyone right now is only 15% off, it doesn't really affect the purchaser all that much, but it does, improve the expense of the management of wealth and the reduction of expense on the business end. So what you're saying to a brick and mortar is it's only 15% off, and what you're saying to the online guys, it's 15% off. Hey, you get to keep, extra money that you weren't used to. If the second everyone's on board and no one can legally compete with us anymore, you all make more money. Now there's an incentive for people to be inside the store. And a Shopify account with taking your own pictures and writing up your own shit. You have now the ability with one extra employee to now sell more product than you've ever sold before, brick and mortar. Because now you can have an online store that people will actually shop at, and like I said, this is almost a flip stance that I took in the webcast, because as I thought about it. So another problem is that how's a local gaming store really going to compete with real big time online stores? They're doing 25% off. They have to move mad product. A local gaming store, you're saying you got to move insane product online at this insane discount just to barely make enough money to pay the extra guy you hired to pack these orders. Now what you're saying is, dog, it's 15%. You can compete because there's no one else doing more than 15%. So now your whole local scene, like, can just literally, instead of going to the store on a Sunday, and we know where they want, like, where let's say the guy's like, oh, I got to go do this on Sunday. I really want to buy those new doors. They can just go in your store and buy them. You still sold it to that guy. Because that guy will buy it from you instead of somebody else who's doing 25% off, because those guys don't exist anymore. So this might actually, as I flip my stance and talk myself into it, this might be 100% good and not, 80% bad, 20% good.
I completely agree, and I like that side of it. And this is why I love an organic conversation, because we can see valid points because everybody views things differently. But still, we have to remember, anybody who buys anything at their friendly local game store is always going to pay a 2 to 6% sales tax. Well, guess what happens when you buy online? You can usually always get around that. So your 15% is always 21% if you're a North Carolina resident.
No, here's a good point, because the people who are doing 25% off, you're definitely paying sales tax. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
absolutely paying.
Those dudes are doing 25% off, and then when you get your invoice, it shows the sales tax too. So you're not quite getting that 20% off. You see?
Mm-hmm.
You're not quite getting that 25% off. So so it's definitely, when you're talking about, these are almost rounding errors. These are almost like points difference. Like 15% is not really a discount. It's bullshit. So when you're talking about a local gaming store, especially when there's sales tax involved, this, which I love the fact that you brought up sales tax. I feel like you're going to be paying sales tax on everyone's websites now. Everyone has to have a brick and mortar, and everyone has to have a GW account in order to benefit from this. And I believe in the literature that GW that Robbie B was quoting, it says they're also going to be stepping up enforcement of this policy.
That was going to be the lead into my next topic, and my next question was going to be posed saying, now that GW has put this legal document out, what are they prepared to do for everybody who has a home-based eBay business where they're just selling shit as it comes out, whatever? Are they honestly going to start going after some of these people?
Well, I mean, theoretically they shouldn't, because they had already gone after the majority of folks doing that. They tend to, if you're selling GW online, I mean, the margins are already so thin that I don't even, it's just it's kind of a diminishing returns type thing. But then they just kind of look at the area, they test buy and they get the stuff from you and they figure out where the stuff's coming from. Sometimes they mark packages. Like, they're very clever in trying to figure out who these people are. And usually they don't last long on eBay. Sometimes they last around for a while. Games Workshop definitely plays favorites. Like, I know they know a lot of who these sellers are. It's just,
I know they shut down some people day one, and some people still operate here on day 750.
Oh, that's true too. I mean, you can't ship that much product to an area and it doesn't go to a game store. I mean, you could be like, okay, well, maybe it goes, maybe it gets sold to somebody else. Sure, there's ways around it, but at the end of the day, you're either on the radar or you're not on the radar. You either got the handshake or you don't got the handshake, and that's just how business works. That's just the way it is. But going forward, they had indicated to retailers that they have something set up to look out for this sort of thing and go after people. So you have to show that you can protect your business interests. And we saw it with Privateer. We saw it with Fantasy Flight last year when they switched to this kind of type deal, policies for internet selling. And there was a lot of folks that were just like, hey, we're just going to keep selling. And there was a lot of folks that were just like, hey, we're going to keep buying from these guys. And well, from what I've seen, those guys aren't around anymore a year later. So,
oh yeah.
I mean,
that's a laugh cry.
It is. I mean, it's like you can't go on Amazon and buy Reeboks or, Nikes at a discount than going to the store. A lot of times it's the same price same price-ish as going to the store, because, you're buying it from an authorized retailer online, which I'm fine with because I don't want to go to the mall. Especially here, like, it's terrible. I've tried it. People get shot there, actually. So I'm not going to go there. But you're not going to go online to Amazon and find Nikes on the cheap or whatever. At least I haven't had that opportunity.
I mean, that's sort of market tampering, like the way you're talking about. I mean, like they've been able to connect with some of the biggest sellers of their products and work out a handshake, like you said, where we're not selling product at this rate because we want this. And it feels like we're moving toward that now that GW is looking differently at profits now that they're publicly traded. It's almost like that's the next step. The next step is discounts universally at 15% off. There's nowhere else to go except China, obviously, because China doesn't care. They don't operate in the same laws that we do.
I mean, there's lots of different options, and I think a lot of different companies do have different levels of turning a closed eye to things. But I'm not saying GW has or hasn't at any point done anything really. Honestly, they've been publicly traded for a while, so that's they just have a new CEO, so things obviously going a little bit different there, right? So the thing I wanted to stress is that yes, you will always be able to find those deals if you want to work for it, but Games Workshop is in effect, from my take on this document, is making it easier to find the people that are abusing the system and shut them down. They're also making it easier still to sell their products, allow retailers to sell their products, but they're making it harder for the people that want those deep discounts and soon to find those deep discounts.
No, I mean, it's true. It's like if in a perfect world, if they get everyone into compliance, everybody who's slinging at a crazy discount right now ends up just making more money now in the future. Because you're not going to stop, shopping with your favorite people.
No.
We're creatures of habit. So these people who've already created a foothold in online discounts, assuming everyone is able to be wrangled into compliance rapidly, are going to experience 9 to 10% more profit, yearly, just out the gate.
Yeah. I see what you're saying. Just because of the built up clientele, they're literally just able to put 6% more and charge sales tax.
Yep. So, I mean, there's a lot of different ways to go with this. And then that's not even saying, hey, this might force some game stores that maybe were notorious for not offering discounts to have to actually offer discounts at this point. Or they're just
GW is giving the bad business of the local game store scene a free lesson, baby. So basically saying, we're going to do you one solid, bro. We're going to make you do a 15% discount to compete with yourselves even.
Oh, that's a good point. I actually know some local hobby shops that and now how they're still in business, is it a front to launder money? I don't know, but I know of some that are still in business that don't give a dollar off. Won't take 25 cents off a 75-cent canned soda for you.
There's definitely legacy stores out there that's, like I said, creatures of habit. If you're a legacy store, you have a bunch of people who just come to you no matter what. But new game stores, it's a hard industry to break into. David was like, yo, we got a new game store in Miami. Yo, I can't wait. And I was like, how long have they been in business? He's like, 5 months. I was like, oh, he's about to roll that overheat on that plasma gun, because I give him all 6 months. He's like, I don't know. It's already made it 5. He goes in 2 weeks later, calls me. He's like, they're going out of business sale right now.
Dang.
I was like, yeah, no discounts, no incentive, because you can't be mad at the people for finding a discount, man. Like if literally buying my plastic crack from you cost rent, half of my rent, but buying my plastic crack for this other guy lets me still pay rent, how can you be mad at somebody? Now you're just like, you can't play my models. You can't play with your models here. Okay, now I don't come. Now what happens to your games? Now what happens? You think that's the right way to do it? Just tell people they can't show up because they're getting discounts while you're not offering them? Guess what? Nobody comes to your game store anymore. At that point, just run yourself a hobby store that charges by the hour to utilize terrain. And we've said it a million times. Every time a hobby shop gets to that place in their dialogue when they're having their meetings in the back, do you think there's a way to convert this to a clubhouse where people pay membership fees? That's the first discussion and the last discussion you're gonna have before you go out of business. Right, Rob?
Sure is.
Every single store that has gone out of business has had that discussion with their staff.
It's like the golden age of of restaurants, right when I see someone opening up for brunch that is not a brunch place, I'm like, oh, they're stretching. This is the last ditch effort for them to try to make it before they have to close down.
Yep. So maybe the writing's on the wall for a lot of places, maybe not. It's really hard to say at this point, but I think overall, from just judging by what we've seen in the past from Privateer and FFG or / Asmodee, whatever you want to call them these days, bringing these policies, similar / the same policies, into effect with their retailers, I think it's a good thing overall for the hobby. But there will obviously be a lot of resistance.
I'm with you on that now. I was very polarized about this before. But now, like, as I've thought about it in the last 3 hours that we've been discussing this topic since last night when we broke it on your live stream, I've now convinced myself that I think it's 90% positive.
Yeah, I mean, it can go either way. Obviously, there's a lot of retailers out there that are going to have some serious decisions to make. One of them being, how do I start selling stuff online? Can I make money selling stuff online? Mm-hmm. Should I sell stuff online? How will that affect my in-store sales? These are some very serious questions that a lot of people are going to be asking and bouncing around in the next 2 months as we go up to May 3rd.
That's also why GW put out that special email link for questions, because also they don't have all the answers right now, because they know that we're going to, like, you've already found like a loophole, like, instantaneously. They need these people to ask questions so they can reword the bill, as it were, to use, an analogy, to be perfect. So it's like a test market. It's like, break this for us right now, so when we actually release the full thing with all the info, it's better than it is today.
The last thing I'll say about it is I am very pleasantly surprised to see GW is changing with the times. If the intent is even for a negative somehow, and they're doing this to maliciously go after someone or anything else, you want to know what, GW? I commend you with forming with the times. You, within 3 months, have almost mastered a social media, getting knowledge from your community to do FAQs, which we've been begging for, and you have addressed something that has been a major elephant in the room, which is discounts. So, I mean, we are seeing a new, younger style GW. I mean, can't say too much negative about that concept.
I'm going to quote somebody. I'm not gonna use their name, but somebody recently I had a meeting with said this crazy analogy to me. They're like, so whenever you start a business, you kind of start the business, you're a toddler, right? You're a baby. He's like, look at it like human life. So now you're like a baby, then you're an angsty ass teenager. You get to a place in your company where, like, now you're that dumbass teenager who's like, literally, I know everything. Nobody else knows what I know, because now you've experienced success, because in business, the way you grow is by being successful. So now you've grown to this level, and a lot of businesses never get out of that angsty teenage years, and then they start failing. If you can now grow one step further to your 20s and then to your late 20s and hold, right? Hold there. And never become a grumpy old man, never regress to an angsty ass teenager. He's like, that's what, that's the foundation of forming a very successful business. And I was like, damn, what a great analogy. And I feel like GW,
phenomenal analogy.
GW may have blown all the way past that. It's a grumpy old man. And I'll find a way to young themselves up a bit with some new young bloods. Get back to the the late 20s,
Mm-hmm.
Yep, I could definitely see that. Either way, I think they promised an exciting 2017 in it. They go ahead and do what they said they were going to do in their Gamma Trade video and reveal the next 9 months of releases for the year at Adepticon, and have stuff on hand to show off and have the actual miniatures. It is going to be a very exciting next couple of weeks leading into April and the unveiling of the new Sky-powered army. So I'm excited. I'm almost more excited than I've ever been before. Not quite there yet.
I couldn't care less.
I'm very close to almost excitement.
I literally can't wait.
Yeah, so it's gonna be good. Of course, we'll be talking about this as there's more updates and things and loopholes and updates on what retailers are doing. What we're seeing out there with our fingers on the pulse of the hobby all day, every day, like we do on Spikey Bits and Long War, of course. So I think that's pretty much it. I think it's a wrap.
I think it is
a wrap of the wrap of it. Let's get on out of here. We don't have our Haspel back. Definitely looking forward to having a Haspel back. He's so well spoken. I love that guy. Says the best things.
Yeah, he does. And real quick, guys, I am gonna plug my man Mike Haspel, the legendary author of Graveyard Shift, which is up for pre-sale right now, but it is coming out this summer. It is happening. A lot of exciting news to look forward to in the very near future. May I say possible book signings near you?
Oh,
so shit's getting real for our man Mike Haspel. He's pulling these doubles. He's doing his thug life, getting display boards done. He's a streamer now. He's juggling all these things, but the book is coming out, and it's a very exciting time.
All right, guys, we will see you all at Adepticon. See you on the Facebooks and back here in 2 weeks at our weekly Wednesday podcast and webcast night.